Good evening, Keto and Wrestling family. Matt Joyce here with another live stream tonight of Against the Grain. Live, the fourth installment, the fourth episode of Against the Grain live. And we're going to have a great time here tonight. We're going to be talking about WrestleMania dream matches that should have happened at WrestleMania, but unfortunately did not. They did not happen. However, they should have happened, and they very well could have happened as well. So let me invite my co-host to the show live here. So I hope everyone's doing well this evening. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. And there's the link to join, and let's wait for our gracious co-host to pop in. But yes, we're going to have a great time here tonight. And WrestleMania season, this is WrestleMania season right now. So no better time than to talk about WrestleMania dream matches that should have happened and could have happened. And hey, they could possibly still happen if all the stars aligned correctly. They could still happen. What's up, Garrett Light, King L Moxley? What's going on, everybody? Rorito, what's up, bro? What's going on, everybody? We are live. We're going to have a great time here tonight. Hope you guys are ready. And of course, guys, if you guys have dream matches that you think should have happened at WrestleMania as well, put them in the chat and we'll definitely acknowledge them. What's up, Elvis Costanzo? What's going on? Okay, one moment here, everybody. But yes, WrestleMania, definitely the best time to be talking about WrestleMania here. WrestleMania is only 2 weeks away. You got the Hall of Fame induction ceremony. A lot going on. A lot going on. Garrett Taker versus Sting. Absolutely. Hey, Mike Harper. What's going on, man? We are live. Antoine Lewis. What's going on? Julian Smith. Just bear with me for a moment here, guys. Sting versus Stone Cold with Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler on commentary. That is pretty interesting. That is a good match, actually. That is a very good match. Okay. But yes, that would have been a great match, actually. A really great match, to say the least, I'd say. Gilbert versus Goldberg. CM Punk versus Ric Flair. That sounds pretty interesting. Can you imagine? CM Punk versus Ric Flair. That seems like it would have been a good match. Okay. Let's welcome in our co-host for the show. Rorito. What's up, bro?
What's going on, big guy? How you doing?
Good, good. How you doing?
Very good. Very good. I'm glad you like that dream match right there. Gilbert versus Goldberg. That would have been incredible. A big
Yeah.
squash match like the other one I sent you in private. Did you see it?
Oh, the other one? Let me
Yeah.
see. Flair versus Maroney in a diaper changing match. Yeah. Donald Trump versus Vince McMahon. Oh, that would be epic actually. Forget it. That would be that would sell out pay-per-view. Forget it.
That would bring a lot of big bucks.
1, 2, 3 Kid versus 6 versus X Pac. I don't know if that could happen, Elvis. Yeah, but there's been so much dream matches that should have happened, could have happened, and didn't happen. So, so Roy, what's a match that you say legitimate match that could have happened, or your dream match that has never happened before at WrestleMania?
I would say Ric Flair versus Hulk Hogan.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That would have been an amazing match. You're talking about like WrestleMania 8, right?
Correct. That is right.
WrestleMania 8. Yeah, that should have been the main event. I don't know why they went with Sid and Hogan. You know, Ric Flair and Macho Man. It was, I couldn't believe it.
I just think that they were having financial disputes, and probably that's when Flair was going to probably leave to go back to WCW. That could
Flair,
have
yeah,
been it.
yeah, that could have been it. But also I heard somewhere where they had dark matches, Hogan and Ric Flair, before WrestleMania 8, and they were worried that the crowd was indecisive about who they were going to cheer for because it was Ric Flair. A lot of fans were chanting for Ric Flair. A lot of fans are chanting for Hogan. I think they were worried that there wasn't going to be a definitive baby face in Hogan.
Did you see it in? Did you say in dark matches, or was it in
Dark.
house shows?
Oh yeah. Oh, house shows rather. Yeah, house shows.
Okay, because
Yeah.
that was incredible then in itself, because they were money makers in itself.
Yeah.
That made no sense though that they wouldn't do that.
But but yeah, like I think that's what the problem was. They were worried that the fans would turn on Hogan, and they, I guess they were worried. I mean, that would have been way ahead of its time, though, for the fans to be indecisive about who was going to be the baby face and the heel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
well,
Flair was
yeah,
always the bad guy,
yeah,
considering he did a great job. But considering in WWE, I didn't see him as a babyface in my eyes either.
no, no, I never, especially in that run, the '92 run. Yeah, I didn't see him as a baby face, but however, I think the fans really took a liking to Flair.
Woo!
Yeah. Woo! But yeah, it's just amazing how they. I believe the fans, they were worried that the fans weren't going to cheer Hogan, and another thing I heard was that they didn't have much chemistry in the ring, but
Like,
I'm not
I guess
sure.
two old geezers tumbling each other around. I talked to, remember, I told you I talked to Ron Howard, the guy who does stuff for Hulk Hogan, and he
Yeah.
said that Flair and Hogan don't actually really get along.
Oh, they don't.
They they are like political about it. They just do it into the media so people can be like, "Oh, these guys get along," but they don't get along whatsoever.
Oh, oh wow, I didn't know that. I mean, well, but Ric Flair, he was instrumental in getting Hogan into WCW, though.
WCW. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Isn't it weird that
yeah,
sometimes some guys you do stuff to actually help them, and then they put the foot down so you don't get across the street? or when you
Yeah.
want to actually walk, they put the foot down so you can't walk.
Yeah, I could see. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, it's
Jealousy,
just
jealousy.
jealousy, right? Or envy, envious as well. I mean,
Yep,
but I think Ric Flair, he knew bringing Hogan into WCW, that was a money maker. So I'm sure he was all about the money, even though they weren't friendly. So
absolutely. But do you think he wanted more money in the process for actually helping to recruit him as well? I think
oh
so.
I'm sure he was well paid for to help get Hogan into WCW, well compensated for, and that big money match made WCW go off to the races. WCW with that match. So that match should have happened in WWE at WrestleMania, and it didn't. It never did in WWE, and it's a shame because it would have been a big money match, and it's just a shame that they decided to go against it.
Absolutely.
I mean,
You give me one of yours. Who would you have booked?
I got a good one. What about Austin and Brock?
That's something you've talked about that
Yes,
should be done this year, but that
yes,
would have been incredible in itself.
yeah, Austin versus Brock. I mean, that right there. I mean, I don't know if they could still do it or not, but it's a possibility, right? I mean, there's still. I mean, Austin's still active. I mean, I don't know how well of a match he could do right
2 minute
now.
matches.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, they could do a 2 minute match, right? They could do something like that, whatever they
Special
want to.
attraction match.
Yeah, I mean, they could do it. They could do that, and it. The fans would be in awe, regardless of how long the match was. They could do that really fast, and I think that they should do it because not only do I feel as Austin owes Brock for walking out on him, I feel like they should definitely solidify Brock's legacy by. I'd say Brock would defeat Austin in that exchange. However, you just never know, right? It could go. Austin could win because that I heard Brock is almost leaving soon, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's
And Stone Cold is promoting something that's coming out in A&E in a show. Austin Takes America too.
oh right, right. Yeah, that is another show that Austin's doing. And Austin, he's done a lot of shows. He's done a lot of shows. He's done a few movies here and there, and it's just amazing everything he's done outside of the wrestling business. But as you can see, I mean, his match with Kevin Owens last year was very good, but you did notice Stone Cold, he did lose a step.
Yep.
He did lose a step. However, I still think that he could somehow make a match out of this with Brock. I mean, it doesn't have to be a wrestling match. It could be a brawl. It could be like a street fight or something. Like they don't even have to take bumps. It's just all out street fight, all out war outside of the ring, all over the arena, right?
I just think that it was genius that they brought him back to face Kevin Owens because of the stunner and
Right,
everything like that. So they could do
right.
anything like that to make something incredible out of nothing, or
Oh,
something
yeah.
like coming out of the crowd and then he challenges him in an impromptu match, and then we see a special WrestleMania moment.
Yeah, right. Isn't that crazy? I mean, they would have. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking by not advertising it as a match. I mean, it was just a Kevin Owens show segment, and
Yep.
I don't know why they didn't advertise it as a match. Because if they did that, it would have been, forget it. They would have been way sold.
This is simple because I think he was close to saying no because of the money, Austin.
Oh, I
But
see.
then you're like, what if I can't train? What if I get hurt while training? You never know. You never know with these types of things with older guys or in the industry who haven't been in the wrong ring for so long. You
Right.
wouldn't know what to expect. I'm gonna give you another one. I don't know if you're gonna agree with me. It's gonna be HBK versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 13. Number two.
Ooh, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels. Oh yeah, that would have been amazing. WrestleMania 13. If the rematch where Bret would get his redemption, basically. Uh,
Absolutely.
it, but Shawn, he lost his smile and never came to fruition. So it's just a shame, us as fans, we were pretty much left hanging over these amazing matches that we should have got, and ended up not getting. However, I still think Brett versus Austin, that was a barn burner. That was amazing. Uh, Probably one of the best matches in WrestleMania history. Brett versus Stone Cold, WrestleMania 13. But yeah, that dream, that match would have really set the stage for that rivalry to continue on, Brett and Shawn. But the way those two were going, it was going to be one or the other. I mean, I don't think both could have coexisted,
I
unfortunately.
agree completely with that one. I'm going to give you one more before I let you do yours so you can do two. How about Hogan versus Warrior, WrestleMania 7?
Ooh, the rematch. Oh, yeah, that would have been incredible. Instead of Hogan versus Sergeant Slaughter, yeah,
Yep.
that would have been awesome. But I don't know, Warrior. I don't know if he could have lasted that whole year as champion.
I don't think so. I
Yeah,
don't think so.
he was having problems, and
With Vince and everything in
yeah,
backstage and everything.
yeah, he wasn't gonna last that whole year. I mean, they had to get Hogan back like 6 months later or something like. Yeah, it was just. But that would have been amazing. Don't get me wrong, Hogan versus Warrior, WrestleMania 7. Oh, forget it. Yeah, that would have been incredible. And that match in itself was ahead of its time too. It was two baby faces squaring off at WrestleMania 6 in the main event.
Absolutely.
I
And
mean,
nobody knew what they were doing because they were like, who am I going to cheer for? I like Hogan, but I like Warrior too.
right. Yeah, right. See, it was so up in the air. That was ahead of its time, that match. And it was I'm not saying it was a great match, but just because of what was at stake here, I mean the Intercontinental title was on the line, the WWF Championship. Oh, forget it. I mean, the list goes on. I mean, that match was very instrumental. And Elvis has a good one, the Ultimate Warrior versus Prime Goldberg. Ooh,
That would have been incredible in itself.
I don't know how that would have went. I mean, that would have
But
been
remember how Warrior was. He was so tough to deal with. I'm sure he wouldn't have had that much chemistry with Goldberg.
right,
Considering how Warrior was like, I want to get my stuff done how I want it, and that's how I'm gonna do it, and that's all about it.
right, right.
How about you, Matt? What two do you have right now?
I got a good one. I'd say Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold.
Definitely, definitely. Like it
Yeah,
was, I would have thought that same thing, just like The Rock against Hogan,
Rock versus
almost like
Hogan.
that,
Right,
just like that. Like they had that in WrestleMania. It would have
right,
drawn big bucks, but you should have done that. Obviously, probably when WCW folded, you could have done it right then and there after they left WCW and they came into WWE. How do you feel about that?
Oh, absolutely. That would have been amazing if they did that. I mean, forget it. I mean, who knows? That would have been such a big match. I mean, Austin versus Hogan at WrestleMania. Forget it. I mean that. I mean, albeit, I mean they apparently they didn't have much chemistry, or they didn't get along, whatever it was. But absolutely, that would have been a just a big match, like Rock and Hogan. How that match was, I think the fans would have been torn
That
about.
was in the Sky Dome, right?
Huh?
Was that in the Sky Dome or where was that?
Yeah, that was Toronto Skydome, WrestleMania 18.
Yep. What
Yeah,
other
that
one
was.
do you have right now? After that one.
Oh, after that, I got another one involving Austin again. Bret Hart versus Austin at WrestleMania 14.
What type of match?
Well, that would have been the rematch from WrestleMania 13.
I know, but what type of match would you have made it? Exactly the same stipulation? I would have done something unique and different. I would have
Oh,
done something like a Hell in a Cell or something like that
how was that?
to make it more intriguing.
That match wasn't even around back then, but that would have been amazing, actually,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
But I'm sure the Hell in a Cell was in the works. Like yeah,
they were
because
creating
yeah,
stuff like that.
it was actually in the works. Because yeah, Kane debuted in the Hell in a Cell just before WrestleMania 14. So
Exactly.
so yeah, it was already around. Actually, you're right. That could have been a Hell in a Cell match. Stone Cold versus Bret Hart. I mean, but it would have been the match where Austin, I'd say, would have won the championship against Bret Hart. Finally, he would finally defeat Bret Hart after all these losses from Bret. And by that time, Austin was so hot. He could have. He was definitely going to go in as the baby face, and Bret Hart would have been the heel. I think it would have been a much better match than what we got, which was Stone Cold versus Shawn Michaels.
Absolutely. I think that would have created bigger books than any other match right there. I'm going to give you two other ones right now that I can think off the top of my head. You know that they had the invasion angle, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And the actual pay per view itself. I would have actually done at a WrestleMania DX versus the NWO during that angle that they had with the invasion angle, but in WrestleMania. And they
Oh,
would have
forget
created
it.
that for throughout the year. That would have been incredible.
That would have been amazing. Oh, geez, forget it. I mean,
That would have been
D,
a barn burner, like
D,
Jim Ross says.
oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Forget it. I mean, yeah, that would have been amazing. DX versus NWO, the original members of NWO and
Absolutely.
DX. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would get any bigger than two factions. Those two factions right there. That would have
We
been.
would have seen that exactly when we saw the tank in the scope when they went into invade WCW. That's why I'm telling you that. That would have been epic. They would
Yeah,
have said, wow, this is something that could have been created for a whole year, that whole angle in itself between those two. And you would have been like falling in love with that type of match. How about another match? Luger versus Bret Hart.
oh, Luger
And that was
versus Brett.
WrestleMania 10. I would have done that instead of Bret and Owen, even though it was great that it was Bret and Owen.
Yeah,
But I like the idea of Bret and Luger because remember, wasn't it that year's Royal Rumble that they both were co-winners?
yeah, exactly. They both eliminated each other that Royal Rumble, and they were both awarded the championship match.
Exactly. So I like that idea more than the whole Bret versus Owen match. Even though we could have seen Brett versus Owen much later, but that would have been great in itself, right there.
Yeah, I mean, but I think this is before the triple threat match. But why didn't they have a triple threat match? WrestleMania 10, Lex Luger versus Brett versus Yokozuna.
Politics, backstage politics of Hogan, probably. He probably didn't want anybody to steal his spotlight, and having those three probably wrestling and probably stealing his spotlight from there.
WrestleMania 10, though, I think Hogan was already out.
Wait. I'm mistaken about that.
Yeah.
I messed that up.
No, don't worry. Yeah, I mean, but it's maybe it wasn't an idea yet, the triple threat match, or
What was I thinking about? WrestleMania 9, which was in Vegas? Probably.
Yeah, WrestleMania 9 you were thinking about. Yeah, the year prior.
Okay. Yep. So that's probably why I got it mixed up. But yeah, you're right about that. How about you? What other two do you have right now?
Oh, I have. What about Andre the Giant versus The Undertaker?
That, instead of WrestleMania, I would have done it in 2 pay-per-views.
Two pay-per-views?
Yeah, because that's not just one big pay-per-view. You see the Phenom gets beat by Andre. That would be incredible, but not in WrestleMania, in a SummerSlam. And then he takes the rematch and faces him in a WrestleMania. That's how I would have done it.
Oh, absolutely. It would have been a really huge match. And, Undertaker, that's one opponent that he regrets never facing. That he never got in the ring with, and he regrets not getting the opportunity. I mean, he probably wasn't in the WWF at that time, right, when Andre was active, but I think he was in WCW at the time as Mean Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. Mean Mark's character in WCW, I can't believe that the people in WCW, they didn't know what to do with The Undertaker back then.
Right. Yeah, it's just it's really messed up. I mean, but in any case, yeah, I definitely would have saw that as a huge match, just like you said. I mean, it would have been an epic match. Oh, Elvis says Jericho versus Flair. Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
How about this other one? Daniel Bryan versus HBK versus AJ Styles.
Oh, forget it. That probably would have been the best match in wrestling history. For real.
Absolutely. And HBK being his prime.
And AJ Styles in his prime.
Absolutely. So everybody says, Daniel Bryan actually learned wrestling from Jose Lothario and HBK.
Yeah, he did.
So that, like Daniel Bryan says, I would have loved to face Shawn Michaels. Even AJ Styles would have wanted that type of match.
Oh, forget it. That would have been an amazing match. I mean, I don't even know how the fans would react to it, like who they would vote, who they would cheer for. They would probably just cheer for every single one of them. I mean, there couldn't have been a heel in that exchange at all. I mean, it just would have been huge. And forget it. I mean, I don't know how that would have turned out. I mean, who would have won that match? But
how does this one sound? Hogan versus Piper, WrestleMania 1.
Oh, Hogan versus Piper. Yeah, I mean, well, in a singles match, absolutely, that would have been huge. But they went with the tag match instead. I mean, they wanted to make it bigger with Mr. T and Paul Orndorff, and they had Muhammad Ali.
That was great having Muhammad Ali there. That was one of the best things that you could see. The best of all time, being there as a referee. Everybody who was watching probably boxing was like, I got to watch this because we don't know if we're going to ever see this ever again.
Right. Yeah, right. And it's really a shame that Roddy Piper didn't see the bigger picture and he didn't want Mr. T to defeat him in the match. So they couldn't go with that finish. And in which case, Hogan had to pin Orndorff and they won the match. However, if they would have had Mr. T defeat Piper, there would have been a huge buzz all over the world. And yeah, Roddy Piper would have been the biggest heel in wrestling history from that point. And he missed the boat on that. He really did.
I'm going to give you another one that you're going to be like, we saw this probably in Memphis Championship Wrestling, but many people don't actually get Memphis Championship Wrestling because we didn't live in Memphis Championship Wrestling. How about Kaufman versus Lawler at WrestleMania?
Oh, forget it.
That would have actually been great in itself just for the reason that they were creating chemistry in Memphis Championship Wrestling. But for the whole country to actually see that,
oh, forget it. That would have been amazing, and it would have been. It was just so ahead of its time too. The rivalry, and it still resonates today with that rivalry. I mean, you could just watch that rivalry and say, "Oh, that was gold," and you just didn't even know if it was real or not. I mean, it was very well crafted
and
and
it was just in a territory like we're talking about in an indie practically.
right.
And we didn't get to see it like this. We're seeing it in videos now with the Dark Side of the Ring territories and everything like that. But if we would have seen that in a WrestleMania, many of the Hollywood stars would have been there to lend support to Andy Kaufman, I believe. And if they would have actually gone out to the Tonight Show and done so much promotional work for that match, that would have actually helped out WrestleMania bigger and bigger, get bigger and bigger each time.
Yeah, absolutely. But Andy Kaufman, he approached Vince McMahon Sr. and before he decided to go to territories, and he didn't want any part of what Andy Kaufman was offering. He didn't see the appeal in it, and it's really a shame that Mr. McMahon Sr. didn't see the bigger picture in that exchange.
I think that Vince McMahon Sr. didn't have the creative genius that his son had. Definitely.
His son probably would have went for it.
Absolutely.
Vince would
I'm
have
sure
went for
Vince
it.
would have actually done it right then and there. If it wasn't for Vince, we wouldn't have seen like what we were talking about last week, like Cyndi Lauper in WWF back
Right.
then.
Yeah, and
I'm
well,
sure his dad wouldn't have done anything like that. You
that
gotta
that
venture
yeah.
stuff and actually try new stuff to try and see if you can spark the interest of people. If you don't
Right.
spark the interest of people, I'm gonna give you a scenario. If I give you a scenario of a match that you can see every day, are you gonna keep watching every week, or are you gonna try and have a change and say, "Oh, I'm gonna do this type of match, but I'm gonna make it with something unique, and I'm gonna twerk it a little bit and twist it around and give it some different name," and everybody's gonna be like, "Ooh, this is a great match. We've seen this match before, but we're gonna have, let's say, the Hell in a Cell." If you could see HBK versus Undertaker in a
Yeah.
regular match, but what sparked your interest was like, "Ooh, Hell in a Cell. That's a big match. What's gonna happen in a cage in a never seen structure before?" And then we saw Kane right there. That was incredible. That's why you gotta change stuff up a bit.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I could totally see that. But even to go back on WrestleMania one getting Cyndi Lauper. I mean, it was all because of Captain Lou Albano
Yep.
meeting Cyndi Lauper on an airplane. I mean, if that didn't happen, I don't think they would have got Cyndi Lauper. And it was just, you know, it was just a stroke of luck there to get such a big star to be a part of WrestleMania. I mean, and they put WWF on the map, with that WrestleMania. And yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. Just amazing how big they've come, and look at them now. They're just a huge, huge company, worth multi-billion dollars. And it's just amazing what they've become.
Incredible in itself.
Yeah, what
Incredible
they've
in itself. How
what they've
about you?
become.
What two others do you have?
Oh, I got a good one. Rob Van Dam versus Shawn Michaels in their prime.
Oh, RVD right there. He was a special talent in itself. And Shawn Michaels, when he was in his prime, like he says, the showstopper.
Right, right. I don't know how that match would have went, but I know that it would have been an amazing, amazing match. Forget it. I mean, two high flyers going at it. I don't. It would have been amazing. I mean, in the grandest stage of them all, nonetheless. Forget it. And
Go for the next one.
I have another one here. What about Goldberg versus Stone Cold?
That would have created big butts in itself, but I would have actually done it immediately when it was the invasion angle around that time frame, like the whole thing, like the NWO versus DX. I would have just done created stuff like that in the whole WrestleMania with the whole aspect of NWO versus DX, Stone Cold versus Goldberg. But I would have done it like WCW versus WWF, WWE in that WrestleMania just by itself.
Yeah, that would have been huge. I mean, it's really a shame what the invasion angle. They didn't have the huge stars from WCW debuting. It was just mid
Mid
card talent.
carders.
Yeah, it was really a shame, but it was amazing for what it was. But they didn't have the big stars yet. They had to wait a whole another year. And
I'm like, I was so bummed about stuff like that. How I'm gonna give you two good ones that you're gonna like. Chris Benoit versus Daniel Bryan.
oh, forget it. That that would have been an amazing match. Probably the best technical match in the history of wrestling. Right
And
there.
I truly believe that they could have done an Iron Man match themselves.
Oh, forget it. Definitely an Iron Man match. No doubt about it. It would have been amazing, amazing contest. And to be honest, Benoit, he had an amazing match with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania before. I think it was WrestleMania 17, if I'm not mistaken. Or is it WrestleMania? Is
I
either
think it was 17. I think it
yeah,
was 17.
I think it was 17, where they had an amazing technical match. I mean, really good match.
So we're
Benoit.
talking about dream matches and matches that should have happened. Think about this other one that you would have liked. Evolution versus the Horsemen.
Oh, forget it. I mean, but where would Ric Flair be in
Where
that?
would he side? I would just put him in the corner and then he actually betrays one of them. That would have been incredible itself because he's the dirtiest player in the game. And
Right.
I would think he would have sided with the Horsemen
Oh,
because that's his group. He was the original Horseman himself. Why would he actually help the new guys? He's the dirtiest player in the game. He would definitely help his fellow horsemen.
Well, you never know. I mean, he was tight with Triple H though. With Evolution, he was really tight with them. I don't know if he would turn on them, especially Hunter. I mean, he was very tight with Hunter. Uh, I don't know. I could see him easily turning on the Four Horsemen. You know, especially if the
Absolutely.
especially if the money was right.
Look at what Elvis said. He said, Miss and Maurice versus Macho Man and Miss Liz.
Oh yeah, that would have been amazing. I mean, that's a. I mean that's really a dream match. That match would probably. I mean, was decades before that could have happened, but absolutely that in itself that would have been amazing.
How
Eh,
about Prime Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allen?
which one?
Prime Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allen.
Oh, that would have been a good match. I mean, but we did see them in a ladder match
Yeah, I
recently.
know, but I'm talking about in his prime, Jeff's prime, not druggy Jeff. In his
Yeah,
prime.
he was probably on stuff in that match. He was, but in his prime, that would have been a huge contest. I mean, but they had a good match though at AEW. I'm not gonna lie, they had a really good match. However, yeah, in his prime, it would have been a lot different. I'd say it
Give
would
me
have been
two.
a lot different. Okay, I got a good one here. Goldberg versus Chris Jericho.
We didn't see them wrestle in WCW?
No, no,
No.
Goldberg was so against it, and they had such a rivalry. I mean, the fans are really digging that rivalry. If they brought that over to WWE, I mean, I think the fans would have ate it up, and I think it would have been a great a great match. I mean, it probably would have been a fast match. However, it would have been very entertaining to say
I'm
to
sure
say the
that
least.
Goldberg would have wanted it to be a squash match.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But I think us, the fans, we really wanted to see that. I mean, yeah, that was one match that we, the fans, really wanted to see. We didn't really get to see it, and yeah, it's just a shame. But and I have another one. Ric Flair versus Triple H.
That would have been interesting. That would have been interesting because even though they're friends, I wonder how would I wonder if Flair would have put over Triple H. That's
Right.
how I look at it.
I mean, that would have been interesting. I mean, perhaps Flair could have seen Triple H as being the guy to end his career in WWF instead
Yep.
of Shawn Michaels. But that match in itself was pretty good. Ric Flair versus Shawn Michaels. It was a pretty good match. However, I could see Ric Flair considering Triple H as being the guy. Absolutely.
How about Brock versus Andre the Giant?
Oh, that. Oh, forget it. Yeah, that. I don't know how that would have went. Honestly, that would have been.
Give me the baby oil, and then he's
Yeah.
gonna be like, "No, I'm gonna F5 you."
Well, honestly, I think Andre would have liked Brock, honestly, because I'm sure Andre, he liked performers who could really draw money, and I
Yep.
think he probably would have liked Brock. I don't see why he wouldn't like Brock because I'm sure he could see Brock was a tough guy. I don't know if he would be willing to take the F5. I mean that would have been a big move, but maybe in his prime, yeah, he could take that probably, but that would have been a lot of humanity to move, I must say.
Gravity, just like we've seen the belt actually, not the belt, the ring break a couple times. That would have definitely brought the house down. in a WrestleMania.
Oh, absolutely. And yeah, I think that would have been amazing.
How
To
about
be
Bret
honest.
Hart and Owen Hart against the Steiner brothers in their primes?
Oh yeah, that would, forget it, forget it. That would have been a clinic. They would have put on a clinic. I
You're
mean,
gonna like this one: Yokozuna versus Rikishi versus Umaga.
triple threat. Yeah, that would have been a lot of
Well,
humanity
remember,
too.
they're all family. They're all family. So practically,
It's a
family
family.
member versus family member.
It's like Family Feud.
It
Yeah, I don't know how that would have went, but yeah, that
was
that prob
Samoan sumo match. That's what I would have called it. A triple threat Samoan sumo match.
I could probably see that happen. I mean, I could envision that absolutely. I mean, that would have been something interesting to envision, but yeah, that would have been a lot of humanity. They would have probably had to reinforce that ring.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, but oh, speaking of Yokozuna, I have one. Yokozuna versus Vader.
Oh man. I could see that making big bucks, but I would have done it in WCW, not WWE.
Really?
Yeah, because they needed somebody massive to be with Vader in WCW. In WWF, obviously, we know that Yoko was the giant, but Vader needed somebody to actually be against him, and it would have been great chemistry with them because WWF back then, even though he was squashing everybody, he said Vader versus Brock.
Yeah,
What,
Elvis. Yeah,
Riddle versus who?
Elvis. Yeah, Vader versus Brock. That would have been great.
Riddle versus Shamrock versus Punk? I don't see that one. How do you see this one, Matt? The Giant versus the Big Show, or Mike Tyson versus Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Mike Tyson versus Stone Cold. That would have been the biggest match on pay per view if
In
they were to.
ever in history, we've talked about a lot of them, but I think that would have brought more fans ever from boxing. Even though we talked about seeing Muhammad Ali in WrestleMania 1, but I think that would have created more buzz. Austin against Stone Cold.
Yeah.
I would have created the tagline for that where the two psychos explode or something like that. And that would have created buzz for the industry.
That I mean, it was already a lot of buzz having Tyson involved, just being an outside enforcer for the match. But can you imagine? I mean, if they had one on one on pay per view, they don't even need a title. I mean, that would have been huge.
Or
Tyson
just
versus
in a
Austin.
face off. Just in a face off. I would just do a face off at WrestleMania. Make it like if they were going to do a match and do a face off between them two. And then you click it off the air right then and there when they're about to hit each other. And then you got to tune in the following day or the next pay per view to actually see something explode like that. That would create big bucks in itself.
Yeah, I could see that happen. I mean, honestly, I'm not sure how they would really. I mean, how they would execute that match. I mean, would it be a brawl? Would it be a wrestling match? I mean, I don't know how that would turn out. I mean, but it would definitely be a huge buzz, like you said. It would have been huge. Have some.
NWO versus the Shield.
Ooh, NWO versus the Shield. Wow, that's
And when NWO was in their prime, and when the Shield was starting out, practically like that, that would have been epic.
Yeah, that would have been a huge match. I mean, I don't know who would win. I mean, well, I would hope that NWO would pass the torch. I mean, but the Shield, yeah, the Shield has been credited as being one of the best factions in WWF history, if not all wrestling history.
Exactly, but remember other one was the best in WCW history, so that's why it's so tough to decide who's going to win that.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I mean, I'm not sure how that would even fare out, but Elvis said there was 60 something members in the NWO. There, there were.
There were actually,
There probably were.
yeah, considering they had NWO Wolfpack, they had NWO
Skulls book.
original, NWO Hollywood, NWO, oh brother, NWO Japan. They had everything. They killed it when they did so many NWOs. I was like, after they did 5 members or more, I was like, they screwed this up.
Then it sectioned out into like the BWO, the
The
LWO.
LWO, the
The
Losers World Order. I mean, the Latino World Order.
the Wolf Pack. I mean, the Wolf Pack was enough. They didn't have to go past the Wolf Pack, but they took it too far.
Well, they were trying to do like the BWO in WWE. Remember, with the Blue Meanie and stuff like that, they were trying to create everything like that. And I'm like, no, man, that's crap. You should have stayed with the originals. I would have left the three. And I would think if they would have stayed with the 3 original members of the NWO, we would still have been seeing WCW in business for a few more years after that. But if they branched out with everything that they were doing with other factions of the NWO, I was like, this is gonna screw with them. How about the Giant versus the Big Show?
Oh, Andre Giant versus the Big Show.
Yeah, because remember that they created in the past when the Giant was actually when Big Show was the Giant in WCW, they built him as Andre the Giant's son. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh yeah, I remember that actually. Yeah.
So that would have been incredible in itself because they actually had portrayed him as his son, and they would have been like, the world's colliding.
Forget it.
New
Yeah,
Day
that.
versus Harlem Heat.
Danny says Goldberg meets with Tony Khan today.
He's a free agent now. You know that, right?
Yeah, can you imagine? I mean, who knows what he's going to do? I'm sure they're going to scoop him up in AEW.
So are you telling me they're trying to pick up all the scraps from the table from WWE, like somebody would tell me? Why does AEW take every little thing that WCW or WWE have? It's like Impact. They
Yeah,
just get the wrestlers that were already yesterday's news. Create bigger stars. Create something different. I don't want anything to see with the old time wrestlers. Come on, create bigger stars. Because we're getting older. So are they. We don't want to see these people. Why do we want to see these people? We don't want to see old geezers wrestle all the time. We want to
right.
see the new generation of wrestling.
Yeah, Elvis said WCW did the same thing.
Wrestling
Right.
is just a never ending story about everything going to the old generation. Why? Why do you go back to that?
I don't know. I mean, I guess they're very. They like to hold on to nostalgia, and I think deep down inside, I think Tony Khan is a big wrestling fan, and I think, yeah, unfortunately, a lot of these guys are taking advantage of him. honestly, because they don't have the star power which they think that they do have anymore. Like no one wants to see Goldberg anymore. I mean, I'll say maybe.
His son. His son. That's it.
Yeah, his son, right? I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's basically it, right? Like, it's not. He can't even compete at the top level anymore. I mean, he's lost a step too, and in fact,
You saw what he did with Taker at
yeah,
Saudi.
he almost killed Taker.
Hmm. He's
Yeah,
always been a liability in the ring. We all know that.
well, absolutely, and it's just a shame that yeah, he ended Bret Hart's career eventually, and it's really a shame.
How does Trish Stratus versus Mandy Rose sound? Or Sable versus Scarlett sound to you?
Oh, I would love to see those actually. Yeah, absolutely.
That
Scarlet.
that Scarlett versus Sable, that would have been because they pin her out to be the next Sable practically now.
Right, right, and I could see the similarity between the two, and I think that would be a big money match if they could get Sable back. That's another question.
I doubt that. I don't think that's ever going to happen. You'll probably see her in the crowd cheering Brock on in the Hall of Fame. What did he say? Cody versus who? Who would he book? Cody Rhodes versus.
Yeah, he says no one said Cody, and he's right. We haven't said Cody yet. But Elvis said Charlotte versus China. Oh, absolutely. I would love to see that Charlotte versus China.
Or how about this one? Cactus Jack versus Dean Ambrose.
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Battle of
could.
the Lunatics.
Yeah, the lunatic fringe. And Dean Ambrose, I feel like he modeled a lot of his hardcore style from Mick Foley. Honestly,
That's why I actually mentioned it. He says he actually looked up to him as a kid.
yeah. I mean, Siobhan, show your Rowan Mania. What's up, bro? How you doing? Yeah, I mean it's really amazing. Like what could have happened. I mean, just think about China versus Rhea Ripley. I mean
Absolutely.
that's a match that will never happen, but it's a dream match. Absolutely. I mean, forget it.
What people in Puerto Rico want to see Bad Bunny versus Logan Paul.
Well, because of all the heat that they have, I think it will make for big business. With all the heat that they have. But speaking of that, did
Speaking
you
of
get?
that,
Yeah,
I could not get my tickets.
you didn't get your tickets.
I couldn't get them because they said that they were going to send a pre-code. They didn't
Yeah.
send no pre-code. Then I got in today, and they were giving me seats in the 200 section up above, and they were. This is what they're doing in WWE now. They're not going to sell you tickets for just the pay-per-view. They want you to actually buy the tickets, and it's combined for both events for the pay-per-view and SmackDown.
Oh wow.
So they actually make you pay for each ticket for each day, but they actually can't sell you the tickets for one day in itself. So if you want to see the
Wow.
pay-per-view by itself, you're forced to pay for both tickets for both days. So it's combined, and I don't like that. I
Yeah.
just
I
want to
mean,
see the pay-per-view.
well, you may not be out of luck because my friend, my coworker, she bought tickets, but she may not be able to go.
Wow.
So I don't know. If you're interested, maybe I'll
Yeah,
let
let me know. Let me
yeah, I'll
know.
let you know. Yeah, she was thinking about reselling her tickets because she can't go or
Okay.
something. But Yeah, but I'll let you know. Yeah, man.
There's some guy who was gonna sell me tickets in the. Think about this, man. In the 100 level seats for the
Yeah,
pay per view, it's only $100 here
yeah.
for the pay per view. I was like shocked by that. I remember when I lived in St. Louis for Bad Blood for the actual pay per view, we paid like $250 per ticket.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, so I was like, wow. But let me
Yeah,
know, definitely. Let me know about that.
that's how much she said she paid. I think she got 100 level, and I think she paid like 100. I think something around there too. Yeah, but
So
yeah,
that's what they're doing
I'll let you.
nowadays. That's good in itself because they actually want to actually create the atmosphere that it sold out for both days. So that's incredible. They wanted to even do Raw, but then at the last minute they're like, we're not going to do it 3 days because we're not going to
Oh,
be in Puerto Rico from Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then they would fly out. By the way, did you hear about uh what's her name? Alexa Bliss. She's got carcinoma.
carcinoma.
Yeah, like she said that. Let me show you. She got operated here in the side of her face because
Yeah,
of something that happened. She said because she used in her teenage years so much the tanning beds and stuff like that because she's got cancer, skin cancer.
are you serious?
Yeah,
Oh, that's horrible.
he put that in IG today that she was
I-
gonna get operated on.
Is she okay though?
Yeah, she's okay. But wow, isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, tanning bed's not good for you at all. I mean, yeah, it's really a shame. Damn, if she got that, I'm sorry to hear that.
And
I
she's
didn't.
so young.
Right? Yeah. Right? Isn't that crazy?
Absolutely. I was like thinking that, wow, when I saw that, I was like, wow, poor Bliss.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a shame. But di- before we get to the biggest dream match that never happened, do you have any other matches?
Um, I would say, how about the Samoans versus the Usos?
Oh, that would be a good match. Yeah. Samoans versus the Usos, and it's a family affair as well.
Absolutely. And you would have had somebody like The Rock being the referee.
Right. Rock versus being a referee,
And
which
then the
bring
Lumberjacks be some other family members that we don't know about that are involved in wrestling. That would have been incredible. Having
that
all that.
that would have been actually. Which brings me to another match: Roman versus The Rock.
Absolutely. That should have been created for this year. That should have been the big money draw this year. And then we think it should have happened this year, particularly, so they could say, okay, Reigns beats The Rock, and we don't need The Rock here anymore because he's going to be like, oh, I'm the tribal chief, this and that. And then he can say all his glory, and then he can have all the promotion in the world, and they're going to acknowledge him forever. What did he say? Miss Down and who? And the Mega Powers?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, but Roman versus The Rock, I don't know if it will happen. It really should happen. I think the fans all want it to happen. I mean, this would have been the show to do it. However, I know that this if they were going to give Cody the title, this is the chance. I mean, everything leading up to it. I mean, this is the Cinderella story, Cody Rhodes. And if they were going to do it, this is the year to do it for Cody. This is the match to do it for Cody. But yeah, yeah. I mean, if the
Like
Rock,
Triple H says, he might do it in Saudi. Who knows? Because
I
it
mean, if
will be 1,000 days in Saudi.
I mean, if the Rock showed up, he would have definitely overshadowed Cody. That's
Absolutely.
that's for sure. He would have overshadowed Cody, and Cody would have been drawn out. Uh, he probably would have been facing Seth Rollins again this year if The Rock came back. But
Well, it would have overshadowed Sami Zayn too.
The Rock, The Rock would have overshadowed Sammy as well. You're right. Yeah, and yeah, I mean it's but that match has to happen. It should happen. Hopefully next WrestleMania 40. That's the big one. WrestleMania 40 in Philadelphia. I'm probably gonna go for one night. We'll see. Yeah, and I'll live stream one night, but I don't know yet. We'll see.
Definitely, if you get actually something good happening in that day, and you should probably go to the Hall of Fame. Who knows if you could see Vince McMahon getting inducted next year?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Who knows, right?
I'm sure
WrestleMania 40.
that's something somebody actually. If somebody says Vince McMahon's going to be in the Hall of Fame, that's going to definitely draw ticket sales for people buying tickets and actually reselling them. People are going to create big buzz and sell it for bigger bucks than what they paid for, like 2 or 3 more times than the usual
Oh, I'm sure of
pay-per-view
that.
prices for that for Vince.
I'm sure of that. I mean, well, I know people they do that for regular tickets, right? They buy tickets and they resell them for at a premium. I mean, I know I actually know somebody who does that for like boxing and stuff, and yeah, he makes a lot of money doing that.
I know
But
a guy too from St. Louis that bought tickets to the World Baseball Classic. He bought tickets for $50. He
yeah,
sold them for $450
each.
each.
Wow,
And I'm like,
wow,
wow, dude. And he's like, so what do you do with the tickets you don't sell? You think I'm crazy? I don't sell them. I sell them all, but I keep two. I keep the best seats for myself. That's what he says to me.
really?
Yeah.
Hey, that's great. That's awesome.
So what was your dream major match?
Well, the match. Well, it's in the thumbnail. Undertaker versus Sting.
When would you have created that one? What WrestleMania and why?
I gotta say, WrestleMania 31. I gotta say, they were both on the card, and I think it was the best time for both of them. I mean, well, Undertaker was just coming back from losing at WrestleMania the previous year. So you know what? Perhaps I would have actually booked it for Undertaker to be undefeated going in against Sting. That's how I would book it. But what about you?
I would have actually done The Undertaker versus Sting exactly like we talked about. I would have had the best WrestleMania card ever. I told you about several matches. I would have then done exactly Undertaker versus Sting in that pay-per-view that we would have had NWO versus DX. And we would have had Evolution probably against the Horsemen. I would have done all those matches because it would have been, like I said, the invasion angle all over again.
Right,
And it would have been exciting completely because we could have been having Shane McMahon running WCW a little bit, kayfabe,
right.
but and we would have had Vince getting all crazy and stuff like that. Another great match would have been Vince versus Eric Bischoff.
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely.
That would have been
Wrestle
incredible because in a wrestling match, because that's what we would have wanted to see. Get a kick out of that.
Yeah, we definitely I mean I wanted to see that for the in WCW when Eric Bischoff called out Vince on pay-per-view. And I definitely wanted to see that. I was like, oh, that's going to be interesting. Can you imagine if Vince shows up?
You know what? I would have totally gone if I was Vince. But you know what? It would have been funny, like what they did with Bret Hart. That they created a midget of Bret Hart. So I would have created a midget of Vince running out to the ring to try and beat up Eric Bischoff, and then everybody would have gotten a kick out of that.
That would have been funny, actually. Yeah, that would have been very funny. I mean, but I mean, just Undertaker versus Sting. I mean, it's a match that should have been done. I mean, I know that Undertaker has said before that he doesn't feel like they would have had any chemistry, but just the characters alone, I think the fans forget it. If fans knew that match was going to happen, I think that would be one of the biggest matches in wrestling history, like biggest promoted matches ever. You know, if fans knew that that match was going to happen, I mean, even fans that who stopped watching wrestling, I think would come back if they heard that match was going to happen.
I would do that in a venue that would bring out like 100,000 people or more.
Oh yeah, definitely a big stadium like WrestleMania. So like WrestleMania 32, that was a big stadium.
Yep.
I
I would
mean,
have enjoyed in particularly that they would have done it in Vegas because that way people can bet on it like we're seeing right now. That would be incredible. Seeing unprecedented
so
actually betting in itself for those
bet,
type of matches.
but betting isn't is it happening now? Is it happening now?
Not yet.
Okay, because yeah, that would be huge. I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of people would profit off of that if they knew the finish, right?
Absolutely. Like Rory does.
But hey, if that happens, yeah, we gotta rack it up, man. We gotta.
Definitely. That way you can get actually money to go to more wrestling events.
Oh, definitely. Oh, Moxie said WrestleMania never had 100,000 fans. It was exaggerated.
That's true. That's
Really?
true because WWE likes to exaggerate numbers to make it seem like it's a bigger spectacle than what we see.
But North Korea was that big, wasn't it?
Yeah, that one was real. That one was real, but that was WCW. But who
WCW,
knows
right?
if some people bought tickets or the government gave them tickets? Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it was very odd. I mean, from when I remember from that Dark Side of the Ring episode. But yeah, those are the biggest crowds in wrestling history.
I
But
totally think it was incredible seeing WCW in North Korea for that.
oh, absolutely. And perhaps that match should have happened in WWF as well. Ric Flair, uh, the main event for the world title. That should have happened in WWF as well. That could have been an amazing dream match.
Which one?
The the main event from the collision in North Korea. It was Ric Flair
Aoki?
versus what'd you say?
Aoki against Flair?
Yeah, Antonio Inoki. Yeah, Antonio Inoki versus Ric Flair. That would have been huge in WWF or Antonio Inoki versus Hulk Hogan. That would have been.
Definitely, but I see Hogan just is always all about money.
I mean,
That's
it would
what
have been a big draw, though. That would have been a big draw, I'd say.
absolutely, but with WCW, I don't think it would have worked as much because Flair was the face of WCW at that time, right?
Yeah, he was, I believe.
So I believe that all that was amazing.
What about what if if Hogan was 1-on-1 against Muhammad Ali at WrestleMania 1, what about that? That would have been insane, right?
You got me speechless, buddy.
that
Speechless.
would have been insane, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, I don't know why they didn't think of that. And but would that have been bigger than Tyson versus Austin years later?
You will never know.
Never know. You're right. You just never know. I mean,
Hypotheticals that people just have to think about. Especially, we see all this stuff that we're talking about right now, but sometimes they probably could have thought, I might get this person. Is he going to get me the money that I want to draw from the actual pay-per-view itself? Is it going to come to fruition? Is the person going to be available at the time I want to do it also?
right.
We never know. We never know.
Right. You're right. You're right. But yeah, it's lots of dream matches that we discussed. I mean, there's probably many more, but I mean, we hit a lot tonight. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of matches we've been cheated on as fans, I'd say.
We've been cheated on a lot of matches that we wanted to see, but hopefully we can see pro wrestling doing a lot more crossovers in the future with other talents and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's best for business. You know, that's what us fans want to see. You know, interpromotional, cross promotional, and we would definitely love to see.
There's a
Even
girl that's Puerto Rican. Her name is Lily Pons. She's a YouTube star. She went out to what's his name to Logan Paul's podcast, and her boyfriend said that WWE offered that girl $20 million to actually perform for WWE, to wrestle for WWE. Because
really,
she's got so many viewers. Yeah. And Logan Paul was like, and he's like, I'm like, I guess he's not getting that much money because
Wait.
he's like,
but how many viewers does she have?
I have no idea. But
Like
I don't know.
like millions?
I don't know if she's got more millions than him in viewers or anything like that, but that's what they wanted to give her. So I was like, wow.
What was she a wrestler though?
No, she's not a wrestler. She's just a YouTube star. You know how they are with the YouTube stars nowadays.
Yeah.
You know how I heard that Vince McMahon brought Bad Bunny in because his granddaughter was viewing a Bad Bunny video.
Oh
and
right.
He was listening to that. So she was headbanging and stuff like that. And then he's like, what the hell are you watching? Oh, this is Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny. Who the hell's Bad Bunny? Then he sees how many viewers.
Yeah, he sees the money.
His videos and he's like, cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching.
Sees the money. He sees the money. Yeah, I mean, yeah. See, if you're famous, you could get in. You could get in just like that, right?
See, that's why we need millions and millions of viewers here.
Right. We'll get there one of these days. You never know, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. But
do you have any questions, or does anybody have any questions for us?
Yeah, regarding WrestleMania,
or anything,
dream matches, whatever any questions. But yeah, it's so many dream matches that we went over tonight, and yeah, I mean, a lot of them are dream matches that probably would never happen because of some of these wrestlers are no longer around. However, some of these matches could happen, because if they figure out a way to do it, they could do it.
I would definitely think WWE should listen a lot more to the fans rather than thinking that whatever they think it's best for business. The fans
Right.
sometimes actually hit it on with what they say that they
Right.
want to see. And sometimes they give crazy ideas as well, but you got to give your public what they want to hear or see.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and they know. I think they know what we want to see, but I think it's a way of them trying to figure out how they're going to get it done. That's another question, right? Like you said, like they weren't sure if Stone Cold was going to be able to compete. That's why they didn't advertise it. But I wonder if that's why they did that with John Cena and Undertaker as well at WrestleMania 34, I believe,
Absolutely.
because they weren't sure if Undertaker could compete. Right? It was they weren't sure yet. They never advertised it, but they should have advertised it. There would have been more people who went out to buy the tickets. I'm sure they were going to sell out anyway. I mean, WrestleMania sold out even without knowing what one match is going to be this year,
I tell
right?
you this, I'm sure that within the first 2 weeks, WrestleMania was probably sold out. Just hearing the name WrestleMania, you sell it out anyway.
And
I've
real
never heard of a WrestleMania that's never not been sold out.
and at this point, it's all resellers.
Absolutely.
They got their
You
tickets.
can
They
see
resell.
they resell in places like StubHub, Vivid Seats, places like that.
Yeah,
That's non-sponsored, people, by the way.
it's true.
And people, well, we've seen that Jacob has been going out there, but he buys the tickets right away. He could probably sell his tickets
He
if
could
he
if he
wanted.
wanted. If he wanted to, he could. Yeah, he's but Jacob probably won the lottery or something. That's probably why he's
He
got.
got his royalties because he got his 15 seconds of fame for being in AEW.
Maybe right. He was actually on the show for several seconds. I mean that's amazing. I mean he was actually on the show. You could see him. Like
Yep.
he was the main
Attraction,
star.
practically.
Yeah, on he was on the camera for a few seconds while he was doing the Chris Jericho song. I mean that was amazing. Wow,
Absolutely.
that's so cool. I mean, hey, I hope I could say that one of these days. You never know.
I could say that about myself just when I lived in St. Louis. I would go to events on Sundays. It was called Something the Fan Show. At 9:30 to 10 o'clock, they would do a sports show. And I would be in the front row all the time. And I would be on TV every time, every week
Really?
for a year. Yep.
Wow, that's incredible, bro. That's
So
amazing.
I just like the experience of actually talking about sports, talking about wrestling, and I hope that everybody likes what we've done with this stream. And hopefully, you guys can let Matt know what you guys liked about this season, what you guys didn't like about this season of the podcast. If you guys want to see it, if you don't want to see it, it's fine by us, but we hope everything was to you guys' liking. How do you feel, Matt?
Oh, absolutely. I thought this was an amazing experience, and I want to thank you, Roy. For all your time and all your effort and hard work. And putting together this podcast as well. Much appreciated, bro. And hey, we may have another season in the future, but yeah, it was great, man. It was absolutely. I thought it was great, and possibly in the future we'll come back with season two.
And great to have everybody here, and thank you for always being so kind. We want to see the co-host.
That's Danny's only complaint. All right, that's all right. That's not a bad complaint. That's all right.
Yeah, that's great. That's fine by me. That's fine by me. But I just look as hideous as Maroney, but that's okay.
No. Yeah,
What did he
hopefully,
say?
Garrett. Yeah,
What did he say?
He hopes these dream matches will come true one day.
I don't think most of them. Are we going to see the Chris Benoit match that we wanted to see?
That will
In
happen.
heaven? Hell? Where?
That won't happen ever. But hey, you can make it on. I don't know if you could even make it in 2K23. Did they even make Benoit in the game?
I don't think so.
Did
You can actually have somebody have a figure of Benoit and actually create a match for the live stream or something like that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you could create a wrestler, but I don't
Well,
think.
you can always have Benoit's son, that David, that he wants to come into wrestling. That's the closest thing you'll ever see to Benoit back in wrestling.
Yeah, but his name, it's going to be tough for him to get in. With that name. I
And
mean,
with his look, he looks exactly like his dad. No offense.
yeah, that's going to be tough. I mean, but you didn't never say never about that. But that's going to be tough with that name to get in. Uh, I don't know, because even just his name, like you'll just think of the horrible tragedy that took place. So I don't see, unless he just doesn't use his name at all. He uses a different name. It won't work if he uses his name.
Hey, Matt, I just got a text message from somebody that told me to ask you, what mid-carder would you put in the Hall of Fame if you could? One crappy wrestler, manager, a tag team, and a main event star that you would put in the Hall of Fame that's in the Hall of Fame. All those. They asked me to ask you that.
Who would be in the Hall of Fame
Yeah, but not this year, next year.
for next year? And these
Tag
are
team. Start with that. Tag team.
and they're not in the Hall of Fame already.
Yep.
Okay, they're not in the Hall of Fame already. I'd say, let me see, with a tag team. Uh, I had a good tag team, but
I told the person Demolition.
yeah, Demolition. But Nasty Boys, Nasty Boys,
Yes, boy. Okay. How about Mid Carter?
and they're not in the Hall of Fame already.
Yep.
I gotta go with let's see, Dynamite Kid.
Okay. I would pick Owen, but he's not going to be in there, obviously.
Owen, yeah, Owen, yeah.
Main star. Who would you pick?
Main star. Let's see. I'd say The Rock.
Yep. And then Jobber.
Gilbert.
I would put Barry Horowitz there.
Oh, Barry Horowitz. That's a good one.
Oh, and by the way, I predict that Charles Robinson or Earl Hebner will be the referee that will be inducted into this year's Hall of Fame.
Earl Hebner. Can you imagine?
Imagine if they did that. Earl Hebner or Charles Robinson, one of the two.
Oh,
That's what I
man.
would take.
Earl Hebner. I mean, if they were going to induct a referee, it would have to be Earl Hebner. I mean, he's been through so much, but
they had him in the Impact Hall of Fame, so they always loved Little Nate, Charles Robinson. So
Little Nate too. Yeah, he's been in it for a long time. I mean, he deserves it too. Actually, he does deserve it. He's been there a long time. But yeah, I mean, you just never know. You never know who's going to get it. But I totally believe, these guys are deserving of it, though.
absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Thank you so much for the opportunity, bro, and hope to see you tomorrow. If I don't get in tomorrow, it's definitely how wacky the systems are out here.
yeah.
Mhm.
Well, SmackDown's on Friday.
Oh yeah, Friday.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah. Friday and SmackDown. Yeah, so Friday. Yeah, so all right, bro. Well, thanks again. Much appreciated, man. And yeah, it's a pleasure doing this podcast with you, bro. And thank you.
Thank you so much for everything, and thank you for everybody tuning in.
Thank you. Thank you, bro. Well, that was my co-host Rorito. And on behalf of the live stream, hope you have a great night tonight. Be safe, be well, each and every one of you. Thank you for taking the time to check us out every single second. Much, much appreciated. Have a great night, everybody. I'll catch you guys next time on the live stream. Be safe and be well. Metroid signing out. Good night, everybody.